Alrighty. And it is Monday, April 20th at 7:20 a.m. And we are gap down. Get the screens up here in a minute. And we are gap down. I think we are ready to go. I think we're ready to go. Here we go. All right. So, look at this. Look at the Nasdaq on a probably a 30-minute is best. So big gap down on the open. We got down as far as 26,618.50. Touched S1. So very interesting there. Likely going to mark that. Also have an area right around here, 26,616. Current trade 26,693. And we are a chopping and a slopping. There is no doubt about it, but it has been a decent move back up. We will see if we can fill this gap. We do need to get back to the low here, which is 26,735. 26,735. So another 100 handles or so on the NASDAQ to fill that gap. And that is kind of the story. And then there was a bunch of stuff came out. U.S. seized some little dinghy over there. It was trying to be a pain in the ass. And then there were things coming out that the strait's closed, it's open, it's closed. I mean, I honestly don't even know. Like, I really pay attention to it, honestly. I try my best. The only thing I'm trying to see is what oil's reaction is it and what the market's reaction is to it. Because I think, honestly, it's all just a crock of shit. I think it's all market manipulation. I don't even think that there's really anybody in charge over there to be making any statements. I think it's all counter, whatever they call it, counterintelligence, misinformation, and I believe it's being done to basically manipulate the markets. And that's just my opinion, because it just doesn't seem, because it seems like these reports come out, and then an hour or 2 hours later, you find out that, half of it was true, and then the other half was just bullshit. And then it's just, again, it's all to manipulate markets right now. No question about it. So I'm just watching oil and watching how the markets are reacting to it. And we did have a big gap up. There is we were down here at 83 bucks. We did gap up all the way to, I don't think we quite got 90, 88.50. So we did get up to 88.60 right here. And it's been pretty much down since then, and we haven't really moved. If you can see here, this is a 30-minute. We have not freaking moved in oil pretty much all night. I mean, when I went to bed, it was right around $88, and it's 87, 83 right now. So there you have it. Highs Friday. We couldn't quite take those out. 90.31 and lows of 78, 78.97. Wow. So that's pretty much the story overall. Dollar has a little bit of strength. The VIX, a little bit of bump there. Not really much. It's been sitting at about that level, pretty much all night. So it really hasn't gone too far, too fast. Natural gas obviously got a little bit of a bump on that last night. And then that's kind of how we sit. Gold has been all over the place last night. I mean, you can see we gapped down pretty hard, right? Big gap. But they did buy these down in here at 47.52. They did buy those last night and rallied a lot. Rallied big, and then we pretty much have just sat here since. We have not really moved. You can see everything is kind of in chop. So big gap down, big move up. There was, unless you were taking a leap of faith, and I will say I actually did take a couple of shots down here, and as quick as it bounced, it ripped back down, and I actually ended up pretty break even on the night. I think I took like 2 or 3 trades. I didn't do anything spectacular, but it was a choppy road. I mean, again, like I said, other than just taking a leap of faith down here, because the pressure downside was pretty ferocious. It really was. I mean, they were really tearing it up. If you were short, congratulations. I have a little PSTD shorting gold. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on here. And then I start looking at Russell, same thing. And then I start looking at levels here, and the only things that really show up of any consequence, because we are still at and near all-time highs, is some of these areas down the bottom here. I mean, otherwise, you have Friday's highs, 26,883 here on the Nasdaq that are sticking out, right? Also marked, also in R1. So you kind of have the threefold situation up there, but again, how easy is it going to be to short this market if we get any kind of momentum and it gets up here with any kind of real ferocity? It will likely just blow through there like it's nobody's business, like it did, the last time and the last time before that. So we're definitely going to be watching that. That to me is really the only place, really to the upside, that I would be looking to short, just because I have these magical numbers up here. Doesn't mean that these are going to do anything for anybody, and so I'm not really taking those with any kind of real focus, because those are just numbers at this point with literally no real market data to test those. So take those under advisement, but I wouldn't really put much weight in them, in my opinion. Now, as far as the downside, that's obviously going to be the better play is to buy into the dip, if there is in fact a dip to buy. Or are we going to just stay here? And we're going to have to go in a little deeper. We do have a couple of spots of interest here overnight. Obviously, it's going to be these lows overnight. And I would actually put an alert at S1. S1 is actually probably a pretty good spot. This is a rough one because you got this huge wick there. And those are always a rough trade, but you got 26,546. And I'm going to add an alert there today, because if we do get slipped down, I think the better spot for a possible long entry is going to be down here, 26,611. I like that spot down there. I'm actually going to pull that alert up and put it at the top of the range here, which is about 626 or so. 626. Because you want to be in early, right? Because likely what's going to happen is going to slip down in here. It's not going to hit this perfectly. And it's going to slip down in here, and you're going to want to be engaged to watch for a reversal. I'm not particularly a fan of this spot, although it is a pivot. You still need to kind of keep it under advisement. This is where we couldn't get through today. 26,730. We couldn't get through these areas overnight. Had a rough time. You can see literally every time we got up in this area, we rejected it. So that is obviously going to be an interesting spot. I'm actually going to mark that just because we have not been able to get through that area with any kind of real breakout trajectory. So that is yet another spot. So we got a few spots here on the NASDAQ to keep an eye on. It's been slow as hell. In fact, it's been dead. I mean, across every market, no matter what it is. So that's kind of the story on the NASDAQ. Same sort of thing on the Russell. I still continue that thesis. I think the Russell's going to be a little bit better trade here. I particularly like this spot, 27.56, if we get down there. And also like, I'm going to keep an eye on this 27.6950 for another possible reversal, because same thing with the NASDAQ. Overnight, we could not get through here. Could not get through here at all. So whatever it is going on up there, market doesn't like it. So again, we're going to keep an eye on for that. And then obviously S1 down here, 27.47. I'm going to put an alert just a little bit higher than that at 27.47.70. And that is about the size of it as far as like looking for trades. Obviously, you have your standard gap fill here, and then, the highs all the way up there. If we get up there, again, I'm taking that under advisement. I'm not going to be chomping on the bit up there to take a short, because likely if we're pressing those highs, chances are if we're pressing those highs, things are going pretty crazy. So that is kind of the size of it in the markets overall. Put oil up just for the sake of it. I'm not really trading oil. I just can't really put a lot of faith in any of these levels, because one news story or something comes out, and then all of a sudden all this stuff just kind of just throw it in the trash. So it's been a rough go with that, with it being so headline driven. And then last but not least, I'll jump into gold. As I said, gold overnight was crazy. It was a crazy night. Again, big gap down, rally, a hell of a rally. If you were able to catch all of that, that was a tremendous move last night. Probably the trade of the night. And but since then, we have not been able to break through these 48.34s. And we pretty much stabilized in here at 47.97s. But interestingly enough, if we go back and we look at like a 1 hour, this area, we kind of been really kind of chopping in this area even since last week. You can see we haven't really been able to get through there. We did a little bit, right? I thought we were going to get that breakout here, but yesterday's price action kind of brought us back into the ascending triangle. We did find support down here, and again, we find ourselves stuck in, let's get rid of this stuff just so that it looks clean. We find ourselves in here again in gold. But again, still holding the trend. Still holding the trend. So again, going to be an interesting week, I think, for gold. You know, do we break out again, and do we now get up in this area and make this support, or do we break down, or do we just continue to chop and consolidate? Going to be an interesting week there. But that's really it in gold. Again, nothing's moving. So, but you know, I would definitely mark out these levels again. This area again, R1 up here, and it was Friday's highs, is going to be an interesting spot, 49.18. Right, long way away. It's 100 clips away, but nonetheless, you know, at least on the 1 hour, that's an area to keep an eye on. And then down here, you kind of have, it's a mess. It really is. I mean, you know, you have this area of support, which we sliced right through last night. And then now we have this new area, but then we also have this down here. Again, it's like, it's really messy down here. But they have been buying it here. When we have gotten down here, these rips down have been really ferocious, but they have been buying it. So, you know, again, just keep an eye. I mean, because they seem to be buying it, and that they're not, like, it's not, the dips are not getting accelerated at this point, at least this price action. So those are going to be some areas to keep an eye on. You know, to me, I mean, other than that, I just, you know, I don't even think I'm going to do, I think it's be highly unlikely I even trade today. Because I just do not like this price action at all unless things pick up. I don't think there's anything on the news, news-wise, you know, existing home sales. None of this stuff is really going to move anything. The only thing that's probably going to be newsworthy is the earnings this week. Earnings this week, there's a large number of the companies are going to be reporting. We had Netflix last week. We go in here into, and earnings is going to be the big deal this week. And looking through here, there was none really. I don't really trade anything that comes out on Monday or Monday night for earnings. I usually don't. None of those companies that usually do that I'm really particularly interested in. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of... Looks like Tesla is going to be on the 22nd, so that's coming up on a Wednesday. So likely going to be doing something with them. I guess, I don't know though, the volatility in Tesla's been awful, so I don't know if it really would be worthy of an earnings trade because the volatility's been so lousy in there. Let's see what else is coming up. Las Vegas Sands. That's always a good one. That's coming up on the 22nd. That has good volatility. That's normally a pretty decent earnings trade. And we're going to do a couple, I think. I'm going to definitely do a couple this round. I didn't do any. I don't think I did one at all last earnings round at all. I don't think I did any. There was really nothing. It all sucked. Let's see. Otis. That's really it. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead, but those are the two that I see sticking out. And then if I look at Tesla, I don't know. It's been kind of suck, man. Tesla's been kind of a. I mean, unless you were actually buying the dip there and buying calls, there was really no there. You're not selling freaking options at an 18 IVR. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not selling options at an 18 IVR. I mean, where are you going with that play? And so likely, if we're gonna do earnings, we'll probably look at May, but and they added. Looks like they're adding a ton. Look at all those $2.50 wides they're adding to May. I don't know why they do that. These are obviously going to get added today. They do it for money. That's why. I likely wouldn't even go to June. Probably going to do May. But even in here, I don't even know what the hell I would do. I mean, you're either going to go long or you're going to go short. You're not really going to be able to play any volatility in there at all and do like a true earnings. You're not going to be able to do shit. So I don't even know if you really do anything in there. And again, with that, if you're not taking a directional bias on that right now, there's nothing to do. Las Vegas Sands is probably a little. This one's adding. Looks like are they splitting or something? Because I see some half. I don't know. Something's going on there with the 50-cent options. I think there might be some kind of dividend or something, because that's usually what happens when you get these weird strikes. I don't know what the case is with that, but that is definitely the case here. Or they're just adding strikes for earnings. Who the fuck knows, man? It's just a joke. I would have expected the open interest to be much better in this stock, but it's awful, dude. It is horrible. I would have expected it to be much better. I don't really see much open interest in this thing at all, which kind of makes me want to stay away from it. I'm actually surprised. This usually has pretty good participation. Wow, that's interesting. That's awful. I mean, there's no strikes. I don't think there's not one strike that's over 1,000 contracts. I don't know, man. That's pretty pathetic. Wow. So I guess they're not going to be doing Las Vegas Sands. There's like no liquidity there. Yeah, that's it. I don't want to get too far out ahead of myself. And none of these look interesting at all. 3M, Halliburton. It just usually doesn't move. I mean, that's kind of like I try to look for stuff that is gonna move on earnings, and like although this has like a good IV rank, this usually doesn't move much. I mean, I don't trade Halliburton that much, but it seems like every time I look at it, it's either 30 or 20. It's either like high 20s, mid 30s. It never moves. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I'm not going to get into it. But that's all I got today. Because I don't really think there's much there. I think it's going to be I'm hoping it is. I don't really have anything. I mean, I want to put it on everybody else, like just because I'm not feeling it today. I'm going to just put the hands in the pocket and call it a day, I think, today. I have no interest in trading these markets right now. They just look like they're just literally hanging on the edge waiting for the next news cycle. And I do not like trading markets like that. And so anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Not even a good earnings trade.